Zeus versus Baldur is a topic that is heavily debated about in the God of War community, with many people having their own opinions and interpretations on who would win and why. Some people say that Zeus would win because he's the king of the gods in the Greek pantheon, while others say that Baldur wins because he's fought against the stronger Kratos and has his curse of immortality that can only be breached by mistletoe. But in today's video, I am going to be finally putting an end to this debate and will be explaining who I believe would win and why. And for this video, I have one of my homies, the GOAT himself, the rogue guy, to help me out with some of the scaling for this video. But before the video starts, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment if you enjoyed the video or want to support me and the channel. And with all of that being said, I'll let Rogue go over Zeus Scaling.
Now that the Valhalla DLC essentially served as the epilogue to God of War Ragnarok and basically concluded the Norse saga of games, both me and my GOAT captain feel like now is the perfect opportunity to cover this matchup and to put it to rest respectfully. Before we start getting into the actual scaling though, there are a few things that need to be established because, believe me, this matchup can get pretty heated among the fans and is something even debated about between the staff behind God of War indirectly. First thing is that no director statements will be used for this video. I won't be using any of Corey's or Bruno's tweets to reach a conclusion, regardless of their authority in the development of these games. Corey thinks the Kratos from 2018 just no diffs Kratos from God of War 3, and Bruno contradicts himself by believing that Zeus just washes Thor, saying Odin would actually be a better matchup instead, yet believes Ragnarok Kratos is above his God of War 3 incarnation. Another thing that needs to be established is that this is an inverse matchup, not crossverse. This is really important, especially for like casual or newer fans, because it's not too uncommon to see some resort to cosmology scaling to determine which pantheon is actually stronger. This is not a valid metric to use here, as one, these pantheons have varying and distinct creation myths that they themselves actually have dominion over, and two, it's actually stated and shown that they all coexist with each other in the same verse. On top of this, God of War 2018 is just straight up stated to be a continuation of the series, like 4 separate times. Kratos himself also correlates his more recent feats of strength to the feats he performed in Greece, like him conceding that Hrist and Myst have unmatched coordination in battle, which is pretty interesting because the Furies, who are technically the very first threats to Kratos in his pursuit of vengeance, never really lost to anyone as a combined force. Then there's the fact that Kratos said he's killed gods greater than Heimdall, which can't really be referring to Baldur in the context of the statement, referencing at the very least Ares up to any Olympian god he's sent on their way respectfully. So for this video, the conclusions me and Captain reach will be based on the internal consistency in the source material and not a director's interpretation. The Sky Father of the Greek world is an Olympian described as being a master of not just weather, but the thunderbolt as well, with his electricity and bolts being capable of canceling out magic upon contact entirely, only being rivaled by other Sky Fathers like Odin or other gods that hold a similar ruling position. Gaia would go on to secretly raise Zeus since he was a baby due to prophecy shenanigans alongside Kronos' descent into fear, nurturing him and allowing him to grow into power to the point that he forces Kronos to regurgitate his brothers and other Olympians by physically slicing his belly open. Not only is this proof of Zeus linearly scaling to Kronos, but this moment would go on to initiate the Great War, which is a war that lasted centuries between the Titans and the Olympians, with Zeus single-handedly ending it with the Blade of Olympus, a weapon he himself created that can harness godly energy, provide that energy and feed it to its wielder, and even absorb it from the gods and titans that it stabs. Before this sequence actually happens though, it is explained by Atlas in the novelization for God of War 2 that this younger Zeus with his bolts can stagger Kronos completely, and this is what allowed a younger Poseidon to tag team Kronos alongside Zeus and add his power into the mix, with the mighty Titan eventually being overwhelmed. This younger version of Kronos at this point is obviously presented as a god-tier combatant within the pantheon, as he was the ruler of the Greek world before Zeus and is the Titan who dethroned Uranus. We do actually know that Kronos and Uranus's battle was cosmic in nature, according to Bruno, saying it was very similar to how the Primordials fought in Ascension, but it's been thousands of years since the Great War ended, according to Gaia, by the time Kratos opens Pandora's box in the first installment, because Athena explains in God of War 3 that the box was forged shortly after the war, and all Olympians have gotten stronger from that war over this time frame. Zeus's reign over the Greek world was so dominant that Kratos' only hope to defeat Zeus and to secure his vengeance was to seek the fates and their power over time itself. Without this, Gaia said Olympus and Zeus would forever be out of Kratos' reach. Mind you, Kratos still has the amp or quality to him that Hope provided to his base stats after opening Pandora's box, just not the full awakening of Hope as shown at the end of God of War 3, nor does he have his godhood due to draining it in the Blade of Olympus and the power that came with it. Some would actually even go as far as to scale the Kratos that fought Zeus in God of War 2 linearly to Zeus himself, but there's actually enough implications and context that suggests Kratos, even with all of his equipment and the amps he received throughout all of God of War 2, that Kratos isn't actually in Zeus's tier of power at this point. Zeus actually states both in-game and in the novelization that he underestimated Kratos, this being in reference to the lengths he didn't expect Kratos to go to, that being killing the fates and using their power over time in the Greek world to simply win this battle and to secure his vengeance. An underestimation he was correcting in their final scuffle at the end of God of War 2, wherein it appeared to be pitched at times, Zeus was actually outperforming and dominating Kratos in combat multiple times. This Kratos being bloodlusted and having all of the amps and equipment he gained before this showdown, only retreating via a false surrender that Kratos used to surprise or catch Zeus off guard, which ended up leading up to Kratos continuously stabbing Zeus with the Blade of Olympus until Athena would interrupt Kratos and allow Zeus to retreat. Zeus actually tanked the Blade of Olympus being stabbed through his hand and wasn't drastically affected by its draining and absorption properties, and went on to gain more strength since this encounter, as stated by Gaia, when Zeus just one-taps Gaia and Kratos with a lightning bolt at the beginning of God of War 3. This scene in particular actually has implications of Zeus one-tapping a stronger Kratos than the one that fought Zeus on the battle arena atop Mount Olympus, given that in All-Stars Battle Royale, at least from Kratos' perspective and point of view, Kratos ends up absorbing another massive amp after arriving back to the original timeline with the Titans, but before leading the charge to Mount Olympus with them. That's honestly so crazy. It's definitely something worthy for a video on its own, but Kratos after this would get weakened, falling into the river Styx, which resulted in Kratos having his magic and progression from the last game being stripped by lost souls. Knowing our GOAT, this doesn't faze him, and he continues amassing the limitless powers from the gods throughout God of War 3, getting stronger across his stats and equipment, like absorbing Hades' soul, and the Blade of Olympus draining Kratos' godly energy, stacked on top of Athena's and his own god powers already imbued into the blade itself. Zeus, despite getting continuously stronger between God of War 2, potentially All-Stars Battle Royale, and God of War 3, is stated to come back even stronger in the strategy guide before Pandora sacrificed herself during the first phase of their fight in God of War 3. After this, it's pretty evident Kratos and Zeus are in the same tier of power at this point, with Kratos eventually wearing this stronger Zeus down in combat, resorting to clones that are roughly relative to him, and absorbing Gaia's life force mid-fight to gain the edge, with Kratos eventually killing him, at least temporarily. Zeus, having absolutely enough and being completely fed up with Kratos, resurrects in the form of his spirit being an embodiment of fear itself. In this state, Fear Zeus just flat out strips and renders all of his equipment, amps, and magic null, and attempts to erase him to the point only his consciousness exists according to Stig. Little did Fear know that Kratos would use this as the opportunity to forgive himself and overcome the guilt he was hiding behind after opening Pandora's box, which in turn unlocked the true power of hope, unlike his fight with Ares. Kratos, being full of hope, becomes immune to the effects of fear entirely and ends up beating fear out of Zeus. Fear itself is a bit weird on where it linearly scales, as it can one-tap Kratos at the end of God of War 3 before unlocking the full power of hope, but we don't really know if it's above an ascended Athena. Athena ended up getting amped off the power she found in the higher existence, and not only is it heavily implied that Hope Kratos can kill her, but that despite her ascension, she still treats the power of hope as something superior to it, or at least it's implied to be the case. So just to be safe, this level of power from these three specific versions of these characters are all collectively some of the most powerful beings we've seen in God of War, period. So I would just scale Fear in relation to Ascended Athena and leave it at that.
Baldur is the main antagonist that Kratos fights in God of War 2018, and with him comes an entirely new set of scaling for Kratos, but in a very unexpected way. For those that don't know, it's been stated that Kratos during the start of God of War 2018 was rusty, and was so rusty in fact that he had declined in muscle mass and is physically weaker than he was in God of War 3. On the PlayStation blog site for 2018, it stated that Kratos will need to reawaken his dormant power, this power being in reference to the power of hope, and while yes, Kratos still does have a small portion of it left.
There is a desire, that little bit of hope that he didn't give to mankind, that he left inside of there, but locked way deep inside. So
it's also been stated in lore and legends that Kratos hasn't actually fought a formidable opponent in at least 115 years. He does fight random creatures and chaos beasts before the events of 2018, but as I said, they weren't actually formidable or seriously threatening as the opponents he was facing in Greece. So this power to kill a god is basically dormant inside of Kratos, and him being rusty is reiterated many times throughout the first encounter with Baldur. With the senior staff combat designer for God of War 2018, Denny Ye, considered Kratos to also be rusty during his first fight with Baldur, and made changes to where originally Baldur was supposed to throw a mountain at Kratos, but changed it to show Kratos getting gassed out from seemingly a few minutes of fighting Baldur, and struggling to drop a monolith on top of him as well. Then Cory Barlog, who was the director for 2018, says in a director's commentary video that Kratos hasn't had a fight like Baldur in a very long time.
Right, it's he hasn't had a fight like this in a long time. You get the sense that he's older, and then he's kind of shaking off the cobwebs.
And in the 2018 novelization, it stated that Baldur had superior strength to Kratos, something that we see a lot throughout their battle. Baldur, even during one of the cutscenes, acknowledges Kratos' rustiness.
Slow and old. You should never have come to Midgard.
And was outpacing him at various points during the fight. And then later in the game, near the end, we see Baldur again, and he's able to 3-shot the world serpent with his regular punches. Although the serpent had Kratos and Atreus inside of its stomach, with the pair trying to find Mimir's other eye. So the serpent wasn't paying much attention to its surroundings and was caught off guard by Baldur. Many people would use this feat to say that Baldur is on the level of or stronger than Thor, which is something I disagree with and actually go over in my Thor vs. Freya video, which you can check out after you're done watching this one. But this does show that Baldur has some sort of relativity to the world serpent, but by how much we don't actually know. Kratos and Atreus begin battling Baldur for the third and final time, with Freya constantly intervening trying to stop them. And it's here that we see that due to Baldur's curse, just like every other time, Kratos has no actual way to put Baldur down. That is until the curse is broken by mistletoe, and this is where the scaling somewhat changes as well. After Baldur's curse gets broken, it's stated in the novel that Baldur actually had to try and put more effort into attacking and dodging Kratos. Because he is now mortal and can die, he not only puts more energy into his attacks, but he is also actually excited, something that he doesn't show in previous encounters. Baldur is actually so much of a threat that Kratos and Atreus actually have to tag team him to try and put him down, showing him that losing his curse actually gave him an amp and tries harder during the fight. This can actually help support the PlayStation blog statement, where Kratos needs to reawaken his dormant power, aka hope. Kratos was able to eventually defeat Baldur in the end. And with everything being said, who would win between the king of the Greek gods, Zeus, and the cursed immortal Aesir god, Baldur? Let's go over this. The answer to this is obviously Zeus, and it's no contest. Many people believe Baldur wins for quite a few reasons, and I'll go over why all of them are wrong. The first reason is that they believe that Kratos is stronger in God of War 2018 than he was in Greece, and this is just blatantly wrong. As I said previously, Kratos has numerous statements of him being way weaker than he was in Greece. He's been called rusty by the director of the game, Cory Barlog, during their first encounter. The combat staff designer, Denny Ye, also reiterates this sentiment too. Kratos was stated to have lost muscle mass in between games, which objectively makes him weaker than he was before. And he gave out a majority of the power of hope to Greece, which was a huge unquantifiable amp for Kratos. And since he has a small portion of it left, he's much weaker as well. And all of the amps that Kratos had during Greece were pretty much gone when Fear Zeus had conceptually erased Kratos. And in God of War 2018, he's either relative to or equal to the version of himself in God of War 1. If you think he's around the level he was at with the full power of hope, I personally disagree with this. The next reason people think Baldur wins is the novel statement where Kratos seemingly says that Baldur is the strongest person he's ever fought, and this is also wrong. When you read the statement, Kratos is under the assumption that Baldur is a human being and constantly refers to him as such during his inner monologues, and consistently calls him a man, which in the God of War series is typically what gods call mortals or human beings. This means that in Kratos' mind, he believes Baldur to be the strongest quote-unquote mortal he's ever fought, which would put him above people like Theseus and Perseus, which makes sense. Kratos is also not entirely sure when he makes the statement because he uses the word seemed, but when keeping this in line with how man is used for mortals within the series, it's safe to say Baldur is stronger than every human Kratos has fought. People also think Kratos got so much stronger during 2018 that he basically eclipsed every imp that he got during Greece, which is also just false. Keep in mind, Kratos got many imps during this time. He got the Ashes of Prometheus, which was an unquantifiable imp in stats, Kronos' Rage, which also amped his stats, Hades' Soul, and many others as well. Remember, Fear Zeus stripped Kratos of his amps and equipment and conceptually erased him before he came back. Then there's also the argument of people saying that Kratos passively gets stronger because he's an Olympian god, and this is again not true, because if you remember, Kratos drained his godhood into the blade of Olympus, and that sword is still on Mount Olympus where he left it, which means Kratos is mortal and doesn't actually have his godhood to be able to do that. People also forget many other things as well, such as the God of War board game, which takes place in between 2018 and Ragnarok, and has a statement that verbatim says that Zeus is still Kratos' most formidable opponent, which completely makes any argument of Baldur being stronger than Zeus irrelevant. And on the back of the box for God of War 3, it stated that the Olympian gods, which would obviously include Zeus, have limitless powers. Now I know what some of you are probably thinking. How does Zeus get past Baldur's immortality? And that's pretty simple. Zeus just uses his lightning bolt. See, the way Baldur's immortality works is that Freya essentially made sure that everything in the Norse pantheon that could harm Baldur couldn't actually do that. And the crux of removing the immortality is mistletoe, or in this case, something Freya hasn't accounted for. See, in God of War Ascension multiplayer, which has canon information about characters, etc., it's stated many times that Zeus's lightning bolts can disable enemy magic, and since Baldur's curse is made up of magic, that means if Zeus is able to land a hit with his lightning bolt, then Baldur's curse will become nullified, and Zeus would just body him since he scales much higher than he does, and would also be growing in power as well, since it's been stated and shown that Zeus was passively gaining power throughout God of War 3. So because Zeus just scales to a much stronger and faster Kratos, while also passively growing in strength, and has a way to negate Baldur's immortality, I just don't see anything Baldur could do that would be able to help him win. This isn't even including Fear Zeus, who's completely abstract in nature and even stronger than base Zeus, and needed the full power of hope to actually defeat. Baldur wouldn't even have any way to damage him. So in conclusion, Zeus wins, and it's really not even close. I hope me and Rogue were able to help show and prove to you that many people take the Baldur statements and even some of his feats out of context, and Kratos being way weaker than he was in Greece, with Zeus still being top dog in the God of War franchise. Huge thanks to Rogue for helping me with the Zeus scaling in the video. Please go subscribe to his channel. He's cooking up some really cool videos that we'll be releasing in the future, so please subscribe to him if you don't want to miss those. Don't forget to leave a like, subscribe, and comment on the video if you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video. Take care.